In the latest expression of China's rapidly growing and modernizing naval power, the People's Liberation Army Navy recently, and for the first time, put 3 aircraft carriers to sea simultaneously. Of the 3 carriers involved in these activities, the Liaoning and the Shandong are by now well established with the Chinese fleet, while the Fujian, the country's first domestically produced carrier, is still preparing for operational service. Ultimately, it's expected to lead to more Chinese-made flat-tops as the P-LAN continues to expand its naval aviation capabilities. The Liaoning and its carrier group were operating in the Philippine Sea, with the Shandong and its carrier group just off Hainan Island. Meanwhile, the Fujian had already left Jiangnan Shipyard in Shanghai for another round of sea trials, with satellite imagery confirming that the 3 carriers were all sailing as of September 18. The carrier groups for the first 2 flat-tops each include at least 4 destroyers as well as a combat support vessel or frigate, very likely also accompanied by a hunter-killer submarine. At the same time, another P-LAN surface action group with 2 destroyers, 1 frigate, and a replenishment vessel was underway in the Sea of Japan. As of today, the Fujian, China's first carrier to be fully locally designed, and also the first intended to launch aircraft via catapults rather than by a ski jump takeoff ramp, was apparently back in port in Shanghai, having completed its 4th at-sea trial. Overall, and even accounting for the fact that the Fujian has yet to be commissioned, these deployments provide a powerful indication of the plan's growing presence and capabilities, especially regarding its carrier force. It should also be noted that China's 2 operational aircraft carriers have been at sea simultaneously before, but this is now becoming much more routine, with 3 such dual carrier deployments over 3 months this summer. Last week, the Liaoning and accompanying ships were also noted sailing in waters off the east coast of Taiwan. That country's defense ministry confirmed. The same carrier then passed through a narrow waterway between the Yonaguni and Iriomote Islands in Japan's Okinawa Prefecture, for the first time, according to the Japanese Ministry of Defense. The ability to deploy carriers east of Taiwan gives the PLA another option for persistently striking at the island from that vector, while also occupying a blocking position against U.S. or other foreign military forces heading west. Chinese naval and air activity has increasingly focused on the less heavily defended eastern side of Taiwan in recent years. Looking specifically at the plan's recent carrier activity underscores the efforts China is taking to expand the scale and scope of routine operations using the flat-tops it has now and its still growing carrier ambitions overall. The carrier activities further reinforce the already clear indications that the plan views its growing carrier force as a broader tool for projecting power further and further beyond China's borders. The plan's carrier operations are now one of the most visible indicators of how the force is continuing to develop from a regional force that was primarily focused on operations in the first island chain to one that can also conduct operations out into the second island chain, and also more globally. As well as the carriers themselves, China is busy working on new and more capable aircraft from which to operate from them. These include the navalized version of the FC-31/G-35 stealth fighter, the KG-600 airborne early warning and control plane, various drones like the GG-11 Sharp Sword unmanned combat aerial vehicle, plus helicopters. Ultimately, these aircraft and others are expected to be assigned to even more advanced carrier designs, the next of which is generally referred to as the Type 004. There have been persistent reports that this vessel could be nuclear-powered, which would give it effectively unlimited range and help meet the power generation demands of ever-improving sensors. other mission systems, and possibly directed energy weapons. Already, China has demonstrated it can have 2 operational carriers at sea simultaneously. But once the Fujian is commissioned, dual carrier operations should become much more routine, with the option to have 2 flat tops deployed and another in post-deployment maintenance or refit. The Fujian could be commissioned into service in 2025, but more sober analysis suggests this will likely not happen until 2026. While not strictly aircraft carriers, it's worth recalling that China is also scheduled to receive a number of very large big-deck amphibious assault ships, referred to as the Type 076. Each will feature at least one electromagnetic catapult that is expected to be primarily used to launch drones.